Hello and welcome back to the Vile Arts video blog. My name is Criticulus and I'd just like to fill in a few questions that people have been asking me about the Dramaturgy database, specifically the definition of dramaturgy. Now, definitions are a difficult thing. For example, if I ask you what food is, I reckon you know what it is, but actually describing it so that you can include every variety of food is going to be a little bit of a problem, especially since different people eat different things, have different allergies and different poisons. Where are the boundary lines? And it's really the same with a lot of stuff. Once you get into it, you can't really explain what it is. So when people ask me, you're asking us about dramaturgy, what on earth do you mean? You know, it's a hard one for me to answer, as it is for you. So I have a very simple definition, but we'll see that this actually becomes a little bit more complicated. So for me, I study dramaturgy, and that is the study of the way in which theatre is made. That pretty much covers everything that happens within the theatrical experience, from the nature of the auditorium in which it's performed, the questions that are asked by people as they're making a work, the structure of it, whether it's a script, is it devised, who is the designer, all these kind of questions, the use of light, everything. So really what it is dramaturgy is the study of theatre making. And that can be both in the terms of a performance itself and the processes that lead to that. That's not very helpful because, of course, an artist has a different approach. Dramaturgy for them is the process of making itself, without the necessary study part of it that I'm added in, so that someone might give me some money to research it for a few years. Let's add in a few other definitions as well. If we're talking about dramaturgy meaning the process of making a performance, the problem we have there is, what is a performance? Some people would simply point to a theatre performance and say, there it is, it's on a stage, just shut up. But other people actually say that dramaturgy is something we do in our everyday lives. There's a book by a guy called Goffman, very interesting, written a while ago, so it's before academia became full of difficult words and phrases. And that talks about the way in which we dramaturgy our own lives, our own appearances, the people we say we are, the choices that we make in the clothes we wear, the books that we read, even the accent we're speaking. Now, some of these things are difficult. Some of these things perhaps are givens for us, that we don't make a choice consciously to accept them. They're just there. For example, I speak English and I have this accent because of the place that I grew up in, the place that I've lived in, and the fact that I'm pretty bad at learning languages in general. But then there are other things which we do make a choice about, and even those things we don't actively choose, we've actively chosen not to engage with that and address it. So I could just talk gibberish. In fact, I probably do, but I'm aware that I'm trying at least to use a language that is common to everyone. So dramaturgy then is something that everybody does, and this is a big thing. A lot of people are replying and saying, oh, well, don't work with a dramaturg, that's not really relevant to me, it's not what I do. And I think if you're a writer, I think you can say, oh, no, I don't do dramaturgy, I write a text, and that's fair enough. But I think everybody else who's involved in theatre making uses dramaturgy, and it's not just for dramaturgs. Now, I will say, most people could do with a dramaturg in their productions. Yeah, maybe to just cut it down so it's a little bit shorter, maybe get rid of those things that are self-indulgent masturbation, and maybe just to check out whether it's going to be any good at the end of the day. Having said all of that, dramaturgy doesn't need a dramaturg to happen. It just needs a consciousness. Now, I'm going to give you a secret before I go. The secret is this. I've asked these questions about dramaturgy. They're obviously for some research that I'm going to do in the future. There's obviously too much of it, so the whole thing's public-facing. Anyone can have a crack at this. It'd be nice if they quoted the fact I did all this very, very hard work. But here's the secret. What I'm really interested in is people thinking. Reflective practitioners. Now, we hear that a lot. I remember when I did my teacher training years ago, you've got to be a reflective practitioner. And it's a buzzword. But actually genuinely thinking about some of the questions that I ask. What are the choices you make? Why do you make them? What is the foundation of your work? How do you relate to audiences? Why are you coming to the Edinburgh Festival? That was a really bad question to ask, because everyone says the same thing, more or less. That's no disrespect. They're not being dishonest, but pretty predictable. Didn't really need a critic to ask them. But here's the thing, the more you think about work and what you do, the better it can be. I'm going to draw a comparison here. Most government policies are not thought about properly. Just saying. Okay, take care. Thanks for listening in, and well, thanks for Black Arted Press for not being in the office today so that I could use their chairs and stuff.